All right. Does everybody feel all reset, refreshed, ready to go, revitalized? It's a bye week, coming off fresh off a bye week, and now back into Big Ten play. Looks like Greg. Wow. Don't do too much, Greg. I don't want you throwing out a disc or anything like that. Okay. We're all set.
Well rested.
We're feeling good.
Yeah, we're well rested around here.
All right, here we go, folks. You know what the drill is for the next 60 minutes. It's Cornhuskers Live right here at the Voice of College Football. Leave those comments and questions there in the live chat. I just pass them on to Greg, and he's got to answer all of them. I just answer the ones I feel like answering, but he's the guy on the spot here talking Nebraska football for 89 consecutive Tuesdays.
How many years is that?
We're working on 2 here. We're coming up on 2, 52. So at 104.
Doesn't sound that impressive. Yeah, doesn't sound that impressive.
Yeah, 89 does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's commitment. That's commitment, baby.
That is. And we wouldn't have it without you. So we hope everyone appreciates Greg being here. You can catch him, of course, on Husker Online and Husker Online video right here on YouTube. And, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Gene Arthur Associates, and thanks to them, we've got a contest winner.
Yes.
For the Indiana game. So immediately it pays off coming up this Saturday at Memorial Stadium. One Mitchell Miller will have 2 free tickets to Nebraska, Indiana.
Congratulations, Mitchell. Hey.
There we go.
Night game, too. So that'll be fun. Homecoming.
Again, and that is brought to you by Gene Arthur Associates. So free giveaway, no purchase required. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to get a quote. All you have to do is go to Facebook, look up Gene Arthur Associates. I'm going to leave the link in the chat, and you'll be eligible for tickets for the Illinois game, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So some really good opponents coming up for Nebraska, and you can win 2 free tickets to those games. Again, go to Facebook, look up Gene Arthur Associates, Instagram as well. So you got to like and follow at Facebook and Instagram and tag a friend as well. And again, I'll drop the link in the chat. All right, now we're going to talk some football. And I got to think that Mickey Joseph has at least got some good things to say maybe about the team's preparation and focus here. Little rest, relaxation, and to get re-energized for the rest of the season.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at the big picture, this is the time right now for Nebraska to turn things around. They've had a little bit of time to reset now with a new coach, a new head coach, and a new defensive coordinator, and kind of get a little bit of the bugs worked out of things. And, right now you're sitting at you're 0-1 in the conference right now. So nothing's lost right now. And so this is the time. If there's going to be a turnaround, we're looking at this 3-week period here when you're hosting Indiana here Saturday night. And Indiana is pretty much the same as Nebraska. I mean, they have no defense, and they like to run a lot of plays on offense. But then you look at next week, you got a Friday night game at Rutgers, and then you go to Purdue, and these are all winnable games if you look at it. And then you have another bye week, and then you have Illinois. So it's a 4-game stretch right here where you can actually make a statement here and basically wipe the slate clean and start moving in a different direction. So that's kind of the vibe that I felt today at the press conference today. And, and that's one change that Mickey has made. Usually the team press conferences were always on a Monday, but, now Monday is actually the team's day off. And it used to be Sunday under Coach Frost, but Monday is the day off for the team. So a little bit of change there in preparation. And tomorrow we'll hear from Mark Whipple and Bill Bush is the first time that we'll hear from the coordinators in 3 weeks, which is kind of mind-boggling if you're kind of used to that stuff around here in Nebraska. But yeah, I mean, this is a great time right now for Mickey Joseph to put a stamp right here on this program and start them in the right direction with the game against Indiana here Saturday night.
It's Nebraska Live, folks. We come your way every Tuesday at 6 Central Time. Talk Nebraska football with all of you. We invite your comments and questions. Leave them there in the live chat. We got the super chat on if you would like to contribute to the show. We are always looking for sponsors as well, not just here on the Nebraska channel, but across our channels here at the Voice of College Football. Check out Greg's work at Husker Online. We'll bring up the banner here in a second. Husker Online video right here on YouTube. What do you guys work on during the bye week? What have you posted?
I took the week off, Mark. I think.
Did you take the whole week off?
I pretty much did. Yeah.
Nice.
There was a little bit of a bye week breakdown there in the middle of the week, but I was healing up after the last 4 weeks. I mean, I was banged up too, like the team was. So I did a little R&R, a little staycation, and
okay,
and yeah, watched a lot of football over the weekend, and
sure,
yeah.
All right, nothing
It was
wrong
fun.
with that.
It was actually fun. It was relaxing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just a little surprised. I'm not on you for it.
Well, hey, it's not like Husker Online didn't have plenty of content going on, but I just wasn't a big part of it.
All right.
I take advantage. I work salary, Mark. It's okay.
I know how that is.
I don't have to produce content every day to still get paid. So, it's a lesson to all you youngsters out there to get a college degree.
So that they can work salary?
Exactly.
And I get paid any extra for working extra?
Well, that's the way it goes. Yeah, there are those times when, you have to go above and beyond. But, hey, I like it that way.
Well, yeah, I've got the ultimate if you don't produce, you don't make any money job right now.
You do. You absolutely maybe the number one guy in the country that has that job.
Yeah, nothing to fall back on like the corporate job. But yeah, I worked salary for a long, long time. Yeah, that is the deal. You've got some perks, but you got some drawbacks.
Absolutely.
And you need to stay and work.
One of those drawbacks is, as you know well, is that you're working weekends and holidays. That's just something that your family gets used to, and you have to get used to as well. And you can't complain about it because that's when things are going on.
Takes a while, but they finally do get used to it. But for the first, I don't know how many years of my career, at least, they were constantly asking about this weekend and that holiday. And I was like, well, I do my best to get off once in a while, but most of them I gotta work. Well, why do you have to work on the holidays? Well, do you see football games going on the holidays or on the weekends? Yes. This is what I chose to do.
Trust me, I'd rather be on my couch watching that football game with you, but nope. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
All right. All right, folks, what do we got here in the chat? We need you guys to create some content for us here. You guys are ultimately the producers of this show. So here we go. We don't have a game from last week to talk about. And we hope to have Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat Radio come on. He is scheduled on tonight to join us. Saturday, Mickey turns the program around and we blow ever. I don't know what that means.
Is there a character limit on those chat questions?
Well, he didn't come anywhere close to it, but
okay. Hey, I don't know, obviously the atmosphere is going to be amazing there Saturday night. I mean, you're coming off a bye week. Everybody's now kind of had a little bit of time to absorb everything that has happened. I mean, Mickey Joseph got thrown into this position and having to take on, a top 10 ranked Oklahoma squad with hardly any preparation time. And now he's at a bye week, and, they've been going hard, good on good. And, like I said, the atmosphere is going to be rocking on Saturday night, especially, that third quarter, fourth quarter timeout there where they'll play the AC/DC Thunderstruck and have all the light show going on and everything. They turn off all the lights and have all the fire torches out there and stuff. And yeah, it'll be amazing. It'll be great. And this game sets up very well for Nebraska. It's kind of strange that I think earlier today it was a 6. They're favored by 6 in this game. And, it's 2 offenses that are going to throw up a lot of points and 2 defenses that can't stop a cold and a snowstorm, and it's just, it sets up for a big time atmosphere with a lot of rowdiness going on in the stands and everything. And, if they win, heck, it really energizes the whole program and the whole fan base, and you still are looking forward to the rest of the season. If they lose, I don't know, you're taking a step back again. So there's a lot on the line coming up here Saturday night.
So Indiana is coming off a 45-17 loss to Cincinnati, and despite Indiana not looking the best this season at 2-2, they do have a Big Ten win over Illinois. So they've only played 1 conference game, and they've got a win under their belts against an Illinois team that, other than that game, has looked pretty darn good, beating Virginia. And they're off to a 3-1 start. And that was a really close game, a game that I caught the last quarter of, and Illinois really should have salted away the game and won it, but they made some mistakes. Indiana took advantage and got a Big Ten win. So Ed is asking the question, is the game a sellout?
It is a sellout.
Okay.
And that actually is something I left out of as we were just answering the last question there, that this is, like I said, it's a big week for Nebraska. It's a big night for Nebraska. If they lose, that sellout streak might end. Seriously, you have 2 more road games and a bye before the next home game. But if they lose and then perform poorly in those 2 road games, I have if I'm a betting man, I would bet that sellout streak ends. Seriously. So there's a lot on the line.
Folks, I just dropped the link in the chat to Gene Arthur Associates on Facebook. If you like and follow them on Facebook and also do the same on Instagram and tag a friend, you are eligible to win tickets, as Mitchell Miller did, to a Nebraska football game. And so Mitchell's got 2 free tickets coming up. And man, if he gets really lucky, he's going to be able to meet Greg. I don't know if he's going to be that lucky, but that's going to be the real treat.
I'm not hard to find, Mark. I'm always around.
You gotta look on the sideline and kind of like look through all those people and try to find you.
Yeah.
It should be an entertaining game, as Jose points out here. I think there are going to be no shortage of points, most likely.
No. And I mean, okay, so they've had a little bit of time. I mean, there's been a little bit of, roster changes, movements, so to speak. So yeah, obviously, like on defense, they're trying to mix things up a little bit. Chris Kolarevic has moved back to the inside linebacker spot. He'd been playing nickel and had kind of been struggling a little bit. And they're bringing Omar Brown has been talked about a lot here lately as a guy that they've kind of moved from the secondary into that nickel spot and giving him a lot of work. And so you might see, because they're trying to get some of these younger guys in and stuff. And in the secondary, that back half of the secondary is kind of where you're looking at seeing some other guys like freshman Jalen Gold has been talked about, and Malcolm Herzog is a guy that I think you're going to see out there as well. Maybe even a Noah Pola Gates gets some run as well. But they're changing things up, and offensively with the struggles on the line and the injuries, that Turner Corcoran has gone back to his original left tackle spot where he'd been at left guard, and you got a Kevin Williams who had a high ankle sprain. He's out, and so Ethan Piper is going to be getting the starting nod. And Ethan Piper's a guy that started before back in 2020 in that COVID year, and so you're seeing some movement around here and some efforts to get some other guys on the field. And it's just right now it's a great opportunity for a lot of guys on this team that haven't really got much of a chance to be out there on the field. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going on.
Big P, Nebraska is a 6-point favorite because they're at home and because they have more talent than Indiana. Those are the two answers I've got.
Love the handle, Big Pete.
Big Pete.
Love it. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of mind-boggling to see that Nebraska is favored. And what's even more mind-boggling than that is that Nebraska has been favored in every game but one. That was the Oklahoma game this season. So, that's kind of strange to think about that they've been favored 4 out of 5 times now.
Substantial favorite, too.
Yeah. And quite frankly, they're probably going to be favored at Rutgers as well, win or lose. And Purdue probably not, I'd have to imagine. But then Illinois at home, they're probably going to be favored as well. That's just kind of the way that whole thing kind of works, the Vegas thing. But yeah, I mean, Vegas, they're often more than they're not. I mean, they're right more than they're not right. When they're putting these lines out. So, but it is just strange. There's a team that's struggling that can't stop anybody, and has fired their head coach and their defensive coordinator in midseason, and basically starting over from scratch. So, I mean, I was shaking my head too when we were talking about that earlier today. So that's about the best way I can answer that.
Yeah, if Vegas was always right, then think about that. Nebraska would be 4-1 after this weekend.
Yeah.
And 2-0 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And every college football expert going into the season probably calling it the same way. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, it's a different time now. I mean, you've moved on from Scott Frost, and you're doing the best that you can with what you have here in the stable. And one of the more interesting things that I'll take away from the bye week is that they were the whole entire coaching staff was out on the road recruiting. They went out Wednesday through Saturday, basically, and we're out everywhere. And Mickey Joseph even had mentioned, he's like, all of our commits are still in. Everybody's bought into it. We're still recruiting like we're going to be here. And then somebody had asked Mickey what he did on Sunday. It was kind of funny. And he's like, man, they asked him, did you watch a lot of college football over the weekend? And he's like, man, I was out recruiting. I don't have time to watch college football. You know, he's laid out his Saturday is like he was at a practice at 9 a.m. He was at a game at 2 o'clock, and then another game at 6 o'clock on Saturday. And he was back. He was back in New Orleans area. He was back in Louisiana before a couple other stops on his way down there. But the whole staff was out there, or was out on the road. So, you know, they are doing everything possible for Nebraska and planning on staying here, no matter what happens with a coaching, a head coach, a new head coach, or if Mickey Joseph gets the job, we don't know. But the way things are operating right now, it's very impressive under Mickey Joseph.
It was asked in the chat whether this is a big recruiting weekend for Nebraska.
They all are right now. Every single home game weekend is a big recruiting weekend because you have a chance to get kids on campus. And especially when it's a night game, it makes it even that more special because, you have kids that say they're, from California or from Florida or somewhere a long ways away, and they play a Friday night game, and it's almost next to impossible to get those guys to say an 11 a.m. kickoff game. But when you have a night game, you have enough time to get those guys flown in here and be able to see it. So yeah, every single one of these games is a huge recruiting weekend. It's Mickey Joseph showing off his stuff and strutting his stuff, saying that this is why we're recruiting you to Nebraska and I'm going to be here for you. And undeniably it is a huge recruiting weekend. And you'll have some high profile recruits in here, as you always do, because, most of these visits are lined up well in advance, and because you got to buy the airline tickets and stuff. So, I haven't personally looked at the list yet, but I can assure you there's going to be some dudes here that obviously you want to impress and try to get them on board here, and this coaching staff will do everything possible to roll out the red carpet for them.
Gene Arthur Associates is the place to go for home and auto and all your insurance needs. You grab the link in the description section of any of the videos here at the Voice of College Football Nebraska, and it's right at the top of the description section. You grab the link there, you get your instant quote, you're all set. Think of this. You help out families in need, and you also get a better rate on whatever insurance you're seeking. That's a great deal. Completely not connected to that. No purchase necessary. No quote necessary, nothing involved there for a ticket giveaway to a Nebraska football game. You go to Facebook and Instagram, look up Gene Arthur Associates. I've dropped the link 3 times in the live chat, and we'll do it again. You go there, you follow, you like, you do all those good things, you tag a friend, and you'll be eligible to win tickets to a Nebraska football game with Illinois, Minnesota, or Wisconsin. And yes, we've got our first contest winner, Mitchell Miller, going to this Saturday's Indiana game. Good stuff there. All right. NCAA playoff. When will Trev announce a new coach? Well, we have no idea there. I'll put it this way, Greg. There's obviously a few coaches out there that don't have jobs. Dan Mullen, Tom Herman. I'm sure there's other ones that we could think of that would come to mind. And whether it would be, you don't want to base your coaching decision on that you could bring somebody in. And I don't mean they're going to coach this season, but you could bring them in, and at least the recruits, the 23 class, would know who their coach is going to be.
Well, your point is, you can't talk to people that have a job right now.
I mean, exactly.
You're not going to be able to talk to those guys until their seasons are over with.
Yeah, so, unless you're USC and Lincoln Riley.
Right. But most of those guys on that list have jobs right now. So you're going to have to wait until their seasons are over. There are some of those guys like you're mentioning, and obviously one of the biggest names bounced around there is Urban Meyer. You can talk to him anytime you want, but that's a different conversation right there. If Urban Meyer is the guy for the job, and if he would want it, but most of these guys that you're thinking about that are on your short list right now, like a Lance Leipold and a Matt Campbell and guys like that. They're busy right now. They've got their seasons going on right now, and they're not gonna. You can't talk to them in the first place, and they're not gonna talk to you right now either. So yeah.
SOR, can Nebraska still win the West if they win all out? Okay, that's simple math there. They haven't played anybody except Northwestern. Well, technically, the answer is no, that there's a possibility if Northwestern wins all their games, then they're undefeated in the Big Ten. But the likelihood of that happening, if you've paid any attention to Northwestern football, the likelihood of that happening is basically zero. So yes, if Nebraska wins all their games and they go 8-1 in the Big Ten, yes, they will go to the Big Ten championship game. All right. I believe that Jim is ready to join us here at the Voice of Football. We've got Jim Coyle on the line from Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
Doing good.
So this Indiana football team took it on the chin against Cincinnati on the road in the Queen City, 45-17. But as we noted a few minutes ago, for a team that's 2-2, they've notched an important win in the Big Ten. That was a game they stole in the fourth quarter from Illinois. So what's your assessment of the Hoosiers based on what you expected after 4 weeks versus what you've seen?
I haven't seen improvement. It's been a team that has not really moved forward. The Illinois game was a great win that will probably bake a little bit better as it continues to go on. But unfortunately, they are lacking in areas that we knew they were going to be lacking in as far as the offensive line. They can't run the ball, which you can't protect the quarterback. But worse than that, they've had problems in the secondary, which is probably their best unit on the team. They got torched last week by Cincinnati, giving up over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half. And that's just not going to get anything done against anybody, especially when you get to Big Ten play.
Before we get back to the Hoosiers, Jim, has anybody noticed there in the Hoosiers state what Michael Penix is doing in the Great Northwest?
Oh, I notice it all the time. I love watching the Washington, Kalen DeBoer, and what he's doing out there, but I'm not surprised at all. I've always been a big fan of Kalen DeBoer, and if it's unfortunate for Indiana that Fresno State job opened up when it did, because they would have had at least another year of Kalen DeBoer. But I'm not surprised at all. He's got a better line to protect him, to keep him healthy, as long as he can stay healthy. They can do some magical things. I'm not surprised, but I'm not surprised at all. Kalen DeBoer is going to continue to rise up. His name is going to be coming up here when this season ends. I'll promise you.
I'll let Greg cut loose after this question. Obviously, we saw Tom Allen take over the program, have a nice season that was almost culminated with a Gator Bowl win against Tennessee. They carry that momentum into the 2020 season. And, you know, the game everyone remembers is Penix ripping up Ohio State in Columbus. They almost pull off that win. They go to a Citrus or Outback Bowl game against Ole Miss. They finished 6-2. Nice season there. Has his best recruiting class ever up until what they pulled off after this season. They had a nice recruiting class. So despite the 2-10 and the 0-9, they bring in another nice haul for an Indiana recruiting class. So where does this program sit, and is Tom Allen still in good shape?
Well, that's a question that is yet to be answered. he has the opportunity. He's got to go to Nebraska and Lincoln. That's a game that I know that they're an underdog right now. The last I checked, but that's a game that they can't lose. That game, you can't lose to Nebraska with what Nebraska has going on right now. You can't be their get right game because you need everything you can get. After that, it gets much more difficult for Indiana. They've yet to play Penn State, yet to play Michigan, yet to play Ohio State, and even Michigan State, amongst others. But there are only a certain amount of games that are on their schedule that you can say, okay, they got a shot at winning this game. This one is one they have to have. If not, boy, it makes the road a lot more difficult. It's also one that Nebraska has to have because they're in the same situation where their schedule is like there's only certain games, although it might be a little, I don't want to say easier. The West is not as strong, but the West is going to be the wild, wild West for certain, other than Minnesota, man. I don't know who in the world is going to come out of that tumbler, but
none of us do.
I mean, Nebraska could just turn into who knows what's going to happen. We've seen things happen when coaching changes, when people rise up and whatever. But Indiana cannot lose this game for their season, or they are in peril. Then, yeah, the season's going to have to play out for those questions to come up for Tom Allen. But
you're up, Greg, if you've got anything.
Well, to me, the two teams are so similar right now with the struggles that are going on that both teams are struggling on the offensive line. Both teams are struggling in the secondary. Defenses just can't stop anybody. You got your quarterback, Connor. He's got the most dropbacks in college football.
Yeah, most pass attempts in college football.
Yeah.
That tells you how bad the running game is for Indiana.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Exactly.
That's not a good sign at all.
It's a mind-boggling thought to have. And, the only thing that I can, Nebraska could kind of hang their hat on is that you actually do have a top 10 rusher in college football. And obviously Nebraska needs to run the ball and really limit. I mean, Indiana likes to control that ball and run a heck of a lot of plays and, keep your defense on the field. And, Nebraska's going to have to do the same thing and slow the game down in my mind, and keep some of those, keep Indiana from having some of those possessions that they're used to having.
Yeah, and the bad thing is for Indiana, their defense has against Western Kentucky. They held them to 33 yards rushing in the first half, but gave up 130 in the second half. So that's not good, especially when you're giving up large chunks via the secondary as they did against Cincinnati. And your defense is supposed, and Tom Allen is back to calling the plays on defense too. So that was supposed to be an extra boost for them. It's not worked out that way yet, but if Indiana wins this game, they're 4-1, and they can just keep kind of trying to recharge the batteries.
Yeah, it's so strange about the similarities and then the difference in the record with these two teams, and so much on the line Saturday night.
Just like Nebraska football and Indiana basketball, they're very similar. Indiana basketball will give them. There's probably a step further ahead. Much easier to do that with basketball than football anyway. But yeah, it's Nebraska is one of those teams that everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to see Nebraska playing Ohio State or whomever these big names are. Nebraska is one of those programs that should be good. And I know that there were like 1,000 seats left this week for this game, and I'm sure that someone will take care of that. But they've had 385 straight sellouts. Lincoln's a great town. It's a great football. It's just a great college town. It's a great football environment. If you haven't been to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, it's awesome. It's like going to Iowa. There are certain places that are just great environments. Lincoln's one of those.
Yep, and when Nebraska's good, it makes college football better. That's obvious. Just like when Indiana's good, it makes college basketball better. Funny that you mentioned that you guys probably had first practice of the day too, just like Nebraska did today for basketball.
I don't think so. It depends on when the games are, when their first game is.
Okay. So yeah, we opened up practice today. So
is there?
Yeah.
It's trust me. Every day on the show, people reminded me they always put up so and so days until the first game or whatever. That's and that's the thing here. Indiana could be 5 or 4-0 right now. I would still be getting that stuff on the show. Indiana basketball is so many days away. Same with Nebraska football.
We know what pays the bills. Yeah, we know what pays the bills.
Some things never change. And I think I made the mistake at one point in the conversation saying that Indiana's 2-2. Yeah, they won the first 3 games. Maybe that Western Kentucky game, Jim, was sticking in my mind because I watched the end of that game and I saw Western Kentucky blow a field goal that would have obviously sent Indiana to a loss, but they survived that, won the game 33-30 in overtime. So they are 3-1. They got a win in the Big Ten against no losses. So despite all their struggles,
one more win than they had all of last season.
Yeah, despite all their struggles, they got a chance to return home at 4-1 and 2-0 in the Big Ten. Now, nobody's going to believe that they're that good, but the record's going to be that if they can pull off a win in Lincoln. But somebody in the chat mentioned, and I'm looking at it right here, 104 plays they ran against Cincinnati.
Yeah, they were on.
It's mind-boggling. I'm like, I started asking myself, what's the record? What's and I know a lot of those Texas teams back in the day, Texas Tech and all, they really ramped it up. Houston back in the 80s ramped it up, but I'm like, but that was because that was their style. That's how they attacked you. Then this is out of necessity, unfortunately.
So I'm guessing they had a lot of unproductive long drives. They drove the ball between the 20s.
Well, if you look at Connor Bazelak's, however many passes he's thrown, his percentage is not great. He's just over 50%.
Yeah.
And that's the percentage needs to be higher. If his percentage grows, then their numbers will grow. But yeah, they kind of lack that, and they haven't made a lot of penalties, but it seems like they sure seem to get them at the wrong time.
Sounds like a broken record around here.
Well, usually when you've got 8 and 7 play drives, you're not punting. And that's what happened to them a few times. Plus, they had a 16-play field goal drive.
See, that's another thing right there. Field goals. Too many field goals instead of touchdowns in the red zone. They've got, but that's also a product of not having a good running game. When you get down close, you have to be able to run the ball. And that's in Indiana. That's one of their downfalls, and they can't. And the teams know that they can't. So you've got to be diversified when you're in the red zone, or you're going to end up getting less points, and that's going to costing you the games.
But they know they're playing an opponent that hasn't been able to stop anybody's run game as well. So yeah, if you don't try to take advantage of that against Nebraska, then I don't know what Tom Allen's thinking about.
Well, I'm sure that they will. I mean, Sean Shivers and Henderson, Josh Henderson has been the 2 best running backs for Indiana this year. If they can find seams, if they can find some holes.
Oh, there's plenty of those.
Well, we'll see about that.
Trust me.
We'll see who makes who better.
From my vantage points on Saturdays, trust me, there's plenty of holes to run through.
Yeah, there's been very, very few of those for the Indiana running backs.
I just got to clean this up because I love statistical oddities. And just to clean this up, this is how this happened. And you already know it, Jim, but I'm just looking at the numbers here, how you score 24 points and run 104 plays and only score 24. Yeah, a 7-play drive that you punted, 8-play drive that you punted, 16-play drive, gave up the ball on downs. 10-play drive, gave up the ball
16
on
plays.
downs. And had a 16-play field goal drive. So all those plays and only 3 points.
That's 42 plays.
That's hard to do.
That's 3 series, 42 plays, and 3 points.
And I mean, and you got to think of it, the Cincinnati defense was on the field for 104 snaps too, and they still hold up against you. That's crazy.
Interesting.
Nebraska's what, a 3? Are they still like a 3.5 point favorite?
6 today. Yeah,
That just tells you. I mean, and wow. To be a 6-point underdog to Nebraska, Indiana they can't be feeling well.
Big Pete,
Yeah,
not many Big Ten games at this point.
or they have something to prove. I mean, or they're pissed.
Big Pete, to answer your question there, has the West beat anybody from the East? So not many games played, but there was a Minnesota win over Michigan State. But we're only at like 4 or 5 games deep into the.
And I was wondering about that game. That was an interesting game. Michigan State's probably not as good as I thought they were going to be, and Minnesota's better than I thought they were going to be.
I agree. Minnesota handled them.
Yeah, they did. They beat them down.
Yeah.
Minnesota's a good football team.
They are. The Fighting Flex. You can't take anything away from them.
Roll that boat, baby.
Yep.
Well, guys, I got to
Greg,
jump off here, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jim, we appreciate you stopping by. Everybody catch Jim at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. You see his Twitter handle right there. Follow him right there. Jim, we always appreciate you stopping by, breaking down the Hoosiers for us.
I love it, brother. Anytime. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.
Have a great night.
Yep.
You too.
Take care.
All right. Good stuff from our guy Jim Coyle with IU.
Yep. Looked like it must have been raining there or something.
Well, it's getting cold all over.
It was 80 here, so.
Ooh, back to 80?
Yeah.
Maybe that's coming our way.
There was a comment here from Aswar back 627 about Malachi Coleman. Do you think Malachi Coleman will be a Husker? I know he has quite the offers, and I think that as long as Mickey Joseph is here, Malachi Coleman will be a Husker. That's probably the simplest, plainest way I can answer that question.
Okay. Is there any other recruiting that needs to be addressed? Anything else out there that's...
recruiting is kind of taking the back seat right now. Like I said earlier, every recruit is still on board. Kristen Leinart did decommit a couple weeks ago. The defensive end, the edge rusher from IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Florida. But everybody else is still on board. So right now, recruiting is, like I said, coaches were out all week last week, and recruiting is going strong. It's just there hasn't been a lot of news going on lately, but you are coming up here, with some guys that have their dates coming up here in October where they're going to announce where they're going to go, and we'll kind of see. I mean, obviously, you need to win some games and show a little bit on the field to increase your chances. But when you got Mickey Joseph on your staff, any which way he is on the staff, it's going to help you out in recruiting big time. And so I see things, especially there were some reports out there this weekend, just to kind of staying on the Mickey Joseph topic, that he was I don't know where this came from, but that he had taken the interim job because he'd been promised to be retained on the staff next year, no matter who the head coach is. And to me, that's something that I don't take much stock in that report. I don't think that's the way that Trev Alberts operates. But But obviously, Mickey is he's a homegrown. Well, he went to college here and he knows the program, and he lives and dies for the program, and that's why he took the job in the first place when he left LSU to come here. So this is where he wants to be, no matter what. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Nebraska Live comes your way every Tuesday at 6 Central Time. So bring it on back next week and bring some friends with you. And again, we're brought to you by Gene Arthur Associates, and you can get couple tickets, free tickets to Nebraska football games against Illinois, Minnesota, or Wisconsin. All you have to do is go to Gene Arthur Associates on Facebook and Instagram and like and follow there, tag a friend. And I have dropped the link to Gene Arthur Associates on Facebook in the chat. And so please do that. And you can also get your instant quote, free instant quote at Gene Arthur Associates. The link is in the description section of the videos. But in terms of the football tickets, no purchase required. You don't even need to get a quote. So those are two separate deals right there. All right. Going to remind everyone we've got Nebraska post game here after the Indiana game right here at the Voice of College Football as well. And as you see on the ticker down there at the bottom, please join our Discord. And if there's anybody that's in the chat that belongs to our Discord, they will vouch for how much that is worth it. I hear this all the time. People are doing a great job of promoting our Discord. Just go to patreon.com, search MarkRogersTV, and sign up there, and I get you the link, and you join our Discord. In addition to all the other benefits you get from being with us on patreon.com. Well, it appears we have come to the end of the line, I think. I don't see anything else for us in terms of Nebraska football talk, but it's a night game at Memorial Stadium, and of course, Greg will be there.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get back there again after a week off. Nebraska has been lucky that this will be their fourth home game already of the season. So, they haven't had to do a lot of traveling since that Ireland trip. And who knows? Hopefully they come out inspired and a well-rested team, and maybe we see a different product on the field than what we've been used to so far this season. So, yeah, not like, some of you thinking that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just trying to stay upbeat here and kind of talk reality about there's a lot of possibilities still open for this team, and we just got to see what they look like here against Indiana. I'm not. When you send out our pick sheet here coming out, I don't know, on Thursday, Mark, I will be picking Indiana, both to win and cover the spread. So that's how much of the Nebraska Kool-Aid I'm drinking right now.
Okay. Well, lucky for you, I can tell you, because I should send it out right now because it's all ready to go. I'm looking at it right now, is that I don't have the Indiana-Nebraska game.
Oh, okay.
On there, so
well, I just there you go. Then
you don't have to go against
your grain. If you bet Indiana and they lose, don't blame me for any of that.
Don't have to go against your grain and pick against the Huskers. All right, everyone. Our next show is here in just a couple minutes, so join us on the main channel. We'll take your calls on college football here in just a few minutes at 8:30 Eastern Time. Bring it on back next Tuesday for Huskers Live. In the meantime, check out Greg's work at Husker Online Video right here on YouTube. All right, Greg, appreciate you being here. Guess we'll do it again next Tuesday.
I guess so. I don't have anything else going on at 6 o'clock next Tuesday, as far as I know.
See everybody next week.